Hey, Lakeside Church. Wesley here, one of the pastors for our late edition of Monday's live streams in dry places. Sorry for the delay, but glad I was able to get on here and just open up God's Word in an attempt to encourage you today. Man, there's so much going on in our world right now, from not only a global pandemic and the deaths, countless deaths of folks in this virus, to all of the small business owners and people, the tens of thousands of millions that are unemployed and that are hurting financially, to now these consistent injustice of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, and the list goes on and on and on. And we're now seeing these protests, both peaceful and violent. We're seeing riots, and we are feeling this. We are experiencing it. God's people is in the midst of all of this, and the cries of I think of Genesis 4, the cries of innocent blood is crying out from the ground. And so I know many of you are just torn. You're grieving, you are confused, you are angry, you have emotions of disgust, of I can't believe this is happening, to just sheer grief and mourning for those that are experiencing firsthand the evils of racism, of prejudices, of unfair treatment, and the shedding of innocent blood. And so I just wanted to speak very briefly from Psalm 90. It's spoke to my soul here just in the last several days, and wanted to share it with you. The psalm begins in verse 1 as a prayer of Moses, the man of God, and it says, "Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. You've been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God." And then jump down to verse 12. It says, "So teach us then to number our days, that we may get a heart of wisdom. Return, O Lord. How long? How long? Have pity on your servants. Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. Make us glad for as many days as you have afflicted us, and for as many years as we have seen evil. Let your work be shown to your servants, and your glorious power to their children." Verse 17, "Let the favor of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish the work of our hands upon us." Yes, establish the work of our hands. Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. You are the place where we find refuge. You are the place, you are the person where we hide ourselves. And he says in verse 12, "So teach us to number our days." Life is short. It's so fragile. It's precious. And I am completely guilty of missing the preciousness and the gift of life that the Lord gives to us. And so, as we are in the midst of all of this turmoil, as we are in the midst of all of this suffering, the cries of God's people, the cries of the hurting families, the cries of the grieving, those who are grieving the loss of loved ones, we ask that question, return, O Lord, how long? How long? And so if you are that person experiencing any of these emotions or those realities, can I encourage you that we are praying verse 14 over you, that God would satisfy you in the morning with his steadfast love, and that you would rise up and be able to rejoice and be glad. He says, 15, "Make us glad for as many days as you have afflicted us, and as for as many years as we have seen seen evil. We're seeing evil right now. We're seeing the shedding of innocent blood. We are seeing the pain, the grief, and the incredible injustice of all of our current events. And so my prayer is that the Lord would make you glad as you dwell in him, that he is everlasting, that his presence with you, in you, over you, alongside of you, is in every generation. And I know that there's times where God seems absent and heaven seems silent. But may the Lord continue to allow us to number our days. May we learn as he teaches us to number our days so that we may have a heart of wisdom. So if I can encourage you out of verse 16 and 17, let your work be shown to your servants and your glorious power to your children. May God's people, you as God's people, rise up and his power be displayed through you, through your life, through your kindness, through your generosity, through your reckless love and the abandonment of self for the good of others and the glory of God. May the favor of God be upon us as he establishes the work of our hands. May God's church not be silent on these issues. May God's people speak up and stand in those places, seeking and pursuing justice, reconciliation, peace, and kindness. May he establish the work of our hands. Tomorrow, here in Worthington at 4 o'clock, we're going to join hands with our brothers and sisters of every race, of every ethnicity, of every culture in this beautiful, diverse city of Worthington, Minnesota. And I would invite each of you as God's people, Lakeside Church, even if you're not a part of us here at Lakeside, that you would join hands in solidarity, in support for each other, as we are all, male and female, man and woman, young and old, made in the image of God. Would we stand together for life, for one another? May we grieve solemnly for those that have lost their lives wrongly, unjustly. And may we grieve right alongside those who are hurting and feeling the pain. The cries of innocent blood is being heard. And may God's people be ready to stand in those places and be the light that God has called us to be. And may we take the words of Psalm 90 as we find our hiding place, our dwelling place in God and God alone, and move forward into these places as we number our days, knowing that it is God who establishes the work of our hands. I love you. We are praying for you. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. You can comment below. You can private message us as well. Let us know what God's doing in your life. And I hope that this Monday edition, even though while late, may still encourage you in the life and the pursuit of a relationship with God himself through the person and work of Jesus. So may the Spirit be upon you. May he bless you and may fill you with power, with courage, with hope, with joy and gladness in the midst of these just really uncertain and painful times. We love you. God bless you, and hope you have a great rest of the week.